spoti.fi here. Welcome to my channel. Today we're talking about communication and have you ever heard people say, I'm responsible for what I say, not what you understand? And that statement is completely false. Why? Because everybody understands things differently. You have to take into account your audience, the age group, um, the education of the person, their origin, their culture, how they actually communicate, their communication language. Uh, does the message mean the same thing? Like we have body languages that are different. We have sign languages that are different depending on countries, on origins, on people. Sometimes, like for example, the sign here nodding your head could mean no in some cultures, where in some cultures it means yes, right? So it depends on where you're coming from and the communication language that you use, and it could be different from for everybody. So whatever you say, you have to be mindful of how the person receives it so you can actually communicate better. So you have to be careful what are the symbols, the language that are being used, right? So how would the message be conveyed? If that person that you spoke to had to talk to another person, would they be able to communicate or convey the message well? So that's very, very important. It's important to be mindful of what we're saying and who we're saying it to. So I have an example for that. I used to be a corporate trainer, and I would have 18 to 20 people sometimes to train, and I would give them an exercise or a small 5-minute exercise, and I would stand in the middle of the room and give the instructions. Everybody's sitting at their desk and they're behind their laptops or their computers, and they're taking notes of my instruction. And I tried this a few different ways. I would just verbally say the instructions, and every single person in the room, 22 people, they understood the instructions differently. But I gave the same word to everyone. I just gave the instructions once or twice to everybody, and everybody understood differently. Because after the instruction, I will go to each person and check how they took notes or how they were actually doing the exercise, and they understood differently. So it's very important that once you give the information generally, maybe you make sure that every single person understood the way you want them to understand in their own language. Sometimes I would write the instructions on the board, or I would send the instructions on email, via email, and it's the same instructions for everybody. It's a group email, and they still understood differently, which shows you that people understand things very differently. So once you say something, you have to be responsible of how people understand it and make sure that the message that you're trying to bring across goes to the person and is received the way they understand things. But I wouldn't finish this video without adding a few verses. What does the Bible say about communication? So Proverbs 18:13 says, to answer before listening, that is folly and shame. So a lot of people don't listen to what other people are saying. They're preparing the answer in their head, so they don't hear the details. It's important to wait, hear everything the person has to say when you're listening, and then make your response and answer based on what you understand. Clarify that you actually did understand what they're saying. Now, Colossians 4:6 says, let your conversations be always full of grace, seasoned with salt, so that you may know how to answer people. So when people ask you questions and you want to give them an answer, make sure that they understand. Don't just make up answers. Make sure that these answers they can get you. They understand what you need. Ephesians 4:29. Do not let any unwholesome talk come out of your mouth, but only what is helpful for building up others according to their needs, that it may benefit those who listen. So, those are a couple verses that actually talk about communication. We need to make sure that what we convey, what we communicate is important. James 1:19 says, "My dear brothers and sisters, take note of this. Everyone should be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to become angry." That's all I wanted to share with you today. I hope somebody was blessed, and I'll see you next time. Until then, take care.